case. Everybody's investing money on individual skill work. And Tom, you commented on these fancy guys and one guy with having a puck, two sticks, and the puck on each stick kind of thing. And they can't play the game. So I really, I don't want to ignore them. They're that important. The teams you work with, because you're their hell, you're going to attend to it. But we're not going to be there.
Right.
Now, Peter, you're working in an association, basically doing what we've done for years, and maybe you've done for fewer years, but you're doing. It's banging the head against the wall. What's working? Is there anything that's you feel is having an impact that works well for them?
Well, yeah, you have in Canada, and I think probably even Hal being where you are in Minnesota, I think you have an advantage to some degree as far as the pool of coaches that you're able to pull from, because there's a lot of former pros that are in areas, and honestly, the area where that's growing the most in the States is actually Florida. And discussion with a friend who's living down there, and there's name after name after name down there. His kid was in a tournament last week, just some summer fun stuff they were doing. He said, and Roberto Luongo's on the other bench because his kid's playing. So that's not unusual to find the former NHLers involved in those youth organizations. Whereas here, there's very little of that. In the organization I'm working with, there's minimal experience. Guys might have played in high school, and they might have played a little bit of club hockey and maybe the occasional NCAA player, but there's not a lot of actual practical knowledge. So one of the things, Wally, that I've done is, or will do, is the plan, if I go back with them this fall, that's what I proposed to them in the spring at our exit meeting, was connecting with the university and bringing them players who could actually show them these skills that they're talking about. Because you're right, as far as the game teaching the players 100%, but in this youth organization, the mechanics, simple things like stopping, turning, correct egg usage, that type of thing is not what it should be. So the plan is to get from the men's and women's teams each week, a coach will get one. They have 2 practices a week, so they get 1 day a week where they'll get an NCAA player to actually show them how to do those different skills, that the coaches have some sense of what their kids can't do, but not an actual good enough repertoire to be able to show them you can't do that, but it should look like this. So we're gonna have a fair amount of that. But also, to Hal's point there, when Hal was talking about the difference between the assistants and the head coaches there, I think that's somewhat your point, Wally. I think when you started the conversation was, how do we get, if you will, the non high end, the non-sexy piece of our game across? Like, everybody loves drills, right? We were talking about that. They love drills because they see this and, oh, look, you move here, you move there, it's really cool. But the philosophy of how you actually get in a positive way into a player's head to give them the information, to teach the parents philosophy, that's the struggle, because that's what they really don't want to hear. They just watch my kid play and make my kid better. And to them, the only thing that makes their kid better is their ability to handle pucks, their ability to skate, and to some degree, positioning. Other than that, the things we've been talking about, the mental health piece of it, the importance of your motivation, and then commitment having to come from the motivation, that's something that is rarely discussed, or if it's discussed, it's glossed over pretty quickly. So I think that's our biggest challenge, is finding a way to get those things that actually do matter across to the coaches and to the parents to try to get that buy-in. And I think that's the frustration, because that's been the same forever. That's been the same forever. You could bring in a player who has NHL ability to coach a team, and everybody's super excited. But at the end of the year, when that team's only won 6 games, and I've heard parents say that coach doesn't know anything, which is incredible to me, which obviously they do know. But again, were they able to get those other points across? Like, how do you get in their heads? How do you get in your players' heads to buy in? Practice is important. What you do away from the rink is important. Parents, how you support is important. They don't want to hear that, because it's very often counter to what they want to do.
Well, guys, if you can look in the chat, I just posted a pyramid, and I did